Most borrowers have no idea what's coming. Trump's overhaul could change everything about how you repay your debt. Listen, we've got a lot to unwrap in today's video about student loans and so many changes that it's hard for us to keep up, to be honest with you. So I'm gonna break this video down into 8 very important parts that you do not want to miss because they're all very crucial for everyone out there. Let's go ahead and jump into part number 1, which is the overview of the overhaul. Today, we're diving into a topic that's making headlines and affecting millions. The major changes to federal student loans under President Trump's administration. If you're a student, a graduate, or planning to borrow for college, this video is essential viewing. Let's break down what's happening and why it matters and how it could impact you. Some of the key changes that are happening are going to include the resumption of collections on defaulted loans starting May 5th of 2025, elimination of multiple income-driven repayment plans, consolidating them into single repayment assistance plan, termination of the Grad PLUS loan program and strict limits on Parent PLUS loans, and a new introduction of risk-sharing measures requiring colleges to repay a portion of defaulted loans, which has honestly never ever happened before, and the tightening of public service loan forgiveness eligibility. This is a huge one because this is one of the biggest ways that student loans can be forgiven. Now let's go ahead and jump into part number 2, resumption of loan collections. One of the biggest immediate changes is the resumption of collections on defaulted federal student loans. This ends a pause that had been in place since March of 2020. Approximately 10 million borrowers are affected. Consequences for default can include wage garnishment, tax refund seizures, and negative credit reporting. Borrowers are encouraged to explore options like loan rehabilitation or consolidation to avoid these penalties. And if you have the opportunity, you need to look into refinancing these loans. This is a huge part that a lot of people don't talk about. And if you have privatized loans, you should also look into that also. I'm gonna drop a link in the video description for anyone that needs to refinance their student loans because it's a huge one that can save you potentially thousands of dollars. Now moving on to part number 3, changes to repayment plans. This is a huge one. Now previously, borrowers could choose from multiple IDR plans, which were income-driven repayment programs such as Pay, Repay, and IBR. The new policy consolidates these into a single repayment assistance plan. This new plan requires borrowers to pay a fixed percentage of their income over a period of up to 30 years for graduate loans before any remaining balance is forgiven. This change aims to simplify the system but may result in higher total payments over time. To me personally, it appears that they're trying to squeeze out as much as they possibly can out of every single borrower to get this debt paid down, which it doesn't benefit America in any way, shape, or form. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. Because no matter how much these student loan borrowers pay, your taxes are not going to decrease unless you're a billionaire. Now moving on to part number 4, the impact on public service loan forgiveness. Another huge one. I feel like I'm gonna have to say a huge one for every single one of these because they're all big. The Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, which forgives loans for borrowers in qualifying public service jobs after 10 years, is seeing significant changes. Eligibility is now restricted. Borrowers working for organizations deemed to engage in activities against national security or public order are excluded. That's the first time we've ever seen anything crazy like this. And of course, this has raised concerns about the subjectivity of these determinations and the potential impact on nonprofit and advocacy workers. I want to give a special shout out to all my beasters out there that are working hard to fix their credit using DisputeBeast, the most advanced AI credit repair software ever created that comes with the 110% money back guarantee, but specifically to Luis. Luis's credit score went up 261 points after just one round with DisputeBeast. And Jency's credit score went up 225 points after just one round with DisputeBeast. But let's not forget James. James's credit score went up 207 points after just one round with DisputeBeast. DisputeBeast's link is going to be in the video description and pinned at the top of the comments for anyone that needs to fix their credit. Last part's the most important. Now moving on to section number 5, accountability for colleges. A new risk-sharing model holds colleges financially accountable for their graduates' loan defaults, which is wild because we've never seen anything like this. So institutions with high default rates among graduates may be required to repay a portion of those loans to the federal government. This policy aims to incentivize schools to improve educational outcomes and career placement services. In my personal opinion, opinion, this is something that should have been done for decades. Because imagine you spend 4 years in college, you work hard, you have zero work experience, and then you're supposed to go out into the workforce and get hired immediately. It's never worked like that. The sad truth is that a lot of people that graduate out of college wind up doing something that's completely different from their actual degree because they couldn't find a position using that specific degree. I really believe that there needs to be more accountability for these universities and colleges because they continuously continue to raise tuition, the cost of boarding, the cost of food on campus. And from 2012 to 2024, it has increased over 24%. And what do? They continue to raise the prices, all while they're not finding placement for all of these graduates. So people get out in the real world and they have no experience. There should be at least some type of internship that every university and every college is accountable for, because then we wouldn't have these issues with labor. We wouldn't have these issues where students are heavily in debt and they can't repay this money, because the whole point is to get higher education, to get better job placement. And these universities and colleges just aren't doing that job. Now, moving on to part number 6, changes to Pell Grants. Adjustments are also being made to Pell Grants, which assist low-income students. Now, to qualify, students must enroll in at least 30 academic hours per year, up from the previous 12 hours per semester. While this could encourage full-time enrollment, critics argue it may disadvantage students who need to attend part-time due to work or family obligations. Because the facts are that not everyone can go to school full-time and not have to work to actually survive out here in the real world. Now, we're gonna move into part number 7, which is the criticisms and support of all of this massive overhaul, because these sweeping changes have sparked debate, as you can imagine. Now, supporters argue that the reforms will reduce taxpayer burdens and encourage personal responsibility. But the critics contend that the changes could increase financial strain on borrowers, limit access to higher education, and disproportionately affect low-income marginalized communities. And like I said earlier, how is this going to reduce the taxpayer burdens? I don't believe it is, because nobody's taxes have gone down, unless you're a billionaire like I stated earlier. Listen, I know there's gonna be a group of people out there say, well, I paid my student loans, you should pay them too, and why can't I get a refund? Well, the fact of the matter remains that the Biden administration did have a refund program in effect, and I helped thousands of people on TikTok get those refunds. People got 10,000, 20,000 checks in the mail after they paid their student loans. So we need to stop paying attention to this mass media and actually go straight to the source to understand what's truly going on. Pay attention to what's going on at studentaid.gov. That's where all the information is. Student loan forgiveness has been around for decades. People that are actually doing some type of public service are getting their student loans forgiven. So people get angry about this, but student loan forgiveness has been around. You only know about the part where, us taxpayers shouldn't have to pay it. You've been paying it the entire time and you just didn't even know. Mainstream media, all they're doing is pouring gas onto this fire to make people fight against each other when the student loan forgiveness has been around. And then what happened? Republicans got involved and then they shot it down. When in fact, if everyone were to just serve in some type of public setting, they could get student loan forgiveness. And that's why this administration is trying to stop it. Because at the end of the day, all of these student loan servicers don't work for the federal government. They're all their own entities, and they're paying the government while they're pulling all of these interest fees away from Americans that can't get out of this debt because the interest rate continues to balloon. So stand by your fellow Americans instead of trying to kick them down. Instead of having empathy for these massive corporations and the government, you should have empathy for your fellow Americans. Those are the people that matter. Those are the people that are going to work every day and making this economy drive. The government doesn't drive the economy. The corporations don't. Americans do. So stand by your Americans, and everyone should want to help each other instead of kicking each other down. Yeah, I'm gonna go on this rant because I feel like it's necessary, because all I see is this negativity against each other instead of trying to help each other. Think about this. If every one person donated $1 or $2, they could literally wipe away everyone's student loan debt, literally in weeks, possibly months. But instead, we're here fighting. We're fighting against each other instead of helping each other. I just felt like I had to say that. But moving on to part number 8, what borrowers should do now. If you're a current or prospective borrower, here's what you can do. Review your student loan status and understand how the changes affect you. Make sure to contact your loan servicer to discuss discuss repayment options, explore loan rehabilitation or consolidation if you're in default, and make sure to stay informed about policy changes by following official sources like the U.S. Department of Education, because there's so many ongoing lawsuits right now against all of these policy changes. Everything's constantly changing, and as I said earlier, it's really hard for us to keep up. Listen, navigating student loans can be very complex, especially amid all of these crazy policy shifts that we've never seen in decades. So make sure to stay proactive, seek guidance, never be afraid to ask questions, and make informed decisions to manage your educational finances effectively. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We covered another big one on all these massive policy changes with student loans. Now make sure that you watch this next video because it is about massive changes happening to credit reports and credit scores. And if you felt that I brought you some value in this video, make sure that you don't forget and subscribe to increase your credit score.